Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am currently in a lush green space, quite relaxing. I'm here just so that I can film this Q&A session. Traveling videos are fun and it requires a lot of time to edit, but I think sitting down like this, it's a lot more engaging. It's gonna be a long sit-down talk because there are so many good questions. But before that, please grab your coffee or tea for that matter. Stay with me. Let's get started. So the first question is, what are your inspiration and motivation? So I think when it comes to inspiration, we're talking about sense of driving force, whereas when we're talking about motivation, it's more about the pulling force. To me personally, I have had always this sense of admiration and sense of curiosity of foreign lands, foreign countries. And I was born to a family that neither rich or poor. We had enough, but then money was always been an issue and a struggle. So even until to this day, I find that money is a unique topic to talk about because it gives me anxiety and whatnot. I think the driving force in itself, to have that sense of curiosity of wanting to know better about the world. The motivation in itself comes from the idea of wanting to have the life that I want it to be. And as years pass by, of course, your definition of life will keep developing. You know, it keeps evolving as you are as a human being. Having the privilege and the opportunity just to make videos and travel, I'm very grateful in that sense. At the end of the day, having that sense of freedom, personal freedom, not only time, but also the liberty of doing stuff that inspires me. Life passes by, right? Time passes by, and if I feel like I'm not inspired, if I'm not motivated about life, I think I'm losing a huge chunk of opportunities. Life is a classroom and the universe is your school. I keep reminding myself about this idea of why I'm doing this in the first place. So find your why in this world, and I think along the way break down how is your driving force, that inspiration that you want to have, that you want to achieve. How do you achieve that and use that as your sense of motivation? Second question, when did you think of vlogging and why? How was your first experience when you took out of your camera for vlogging? First of all, I didn't know that there's this world called vlogging. It was started back in 2016 when I first long-term solo travel, and in 2014 I have first started doing international solo travels, but then because I got to expose to the idea of long-term solo traveling, meaning traveling full-time, then I saved up from my work at that time until 2016 I finally left Indonesia. Along the way, actually, I had been sharing my travel stories on Facebook, so meaning actually I have developed the idea of using social media to share that travel stories. Okay, I'll just turn on the camera and then talk to a camera and say, oh, I'm gonna miss this kind of moment, because basically it was sort of like video journal. I discovered YouTube in 2014. It was about makeup video, so I had clearly no idea, and there's no intention of becoming a vlogger. I don't actually call myself that. It was basically only to share in a video form, because I think sometimes the video speaks for itself. There's no intention and whatsoever to actually earn money from YouTube, to be able to actually do it full time after 2.5 years. That's crazy. The third question, how do you put into so much energy within yourself while traveling and vlogging as well? So YouTube for me initially was for part-time hobby. It was mostly about sharing my travel experiences. It was only became full-time in mid-May 2018, which was last year, when I left China and returned to Indonesia for only 3 to 4 months. The energy comes from right now, because it is a full-time job. It has to be balanced in between editing videos, publishing videos, keep engaging to YouTube communities, but also to filming, but also not losing the side of my own passion, which is that traveling itself. And so by staying at one particular place for a longer period of time, I would be able to selectively schedule filming, editing, also contacting people that I need to collaborate with. It's not really a holiday, so there's a lot of sense of discipline as well. You can't really have that mindset of holiday all the time, because I won't be able to film and to edit and to produce videos during my travel if I have that mindset of holiday. So number 4, how did you learn about Nepal? How did you overcome language and cultural shocks barrier, if you had any? So I've heard about Nepal, I think 4 times prior to my travel to Nepal from a variety of other friends of travelers, and they have nothing bad to say about Nepal. But I've never intrigued until last year. Yok, which is my Singaporean friend, said that I'm going to Nepal, and I thought, oh, actually that would be nice to catch up with her and then just like go. And Nepal is not very difficult to travel to. There's this visa on arrival policy, which means that I can travel to Nepal and obtain my visa at the airport. I'm done with Southeast Asia. I want to go further to South Asia, and I think Nepal was a great introduction. When it comes to language barriers or cultural shock, because Asian culture are rich in general, so I'm used to with the idea of how it is. It can be overwhelming for people who are not used to with that. When it comes to language barrier, I find that, to be honest, like Nepalese speaks a lot of better English than Indonesians, and so I was quite surprised. And it's just really easy to travel to talk to people. Number 5, if money was not a concern, what would you do every day if you didn't work? Sometimes it gets to be very stressful to rely on YouTube as source of income. If I'm not relying on YouTube for my source of income, would I still be doing this? And the answer is yes. I cannot think of any other thing to do other than this, like making videos and travel. If there is no YouTube, I would still be traveling just to really explore and get deeper understanding about different things in the world. Number 6, what quality or first impression of a country that drawn you to explore more? It's simply because first, sense of curiosity, and second, whether it's a country that I can afford to travel to. Because if you are coming from Asian country like me and knowing that our passport is not strong, so it's not like we can just pick a certain particular country and then go there. And also like the idea how much the depreciation of our currency in comparison to other currency. First question, can I afford that? But then, am I curious about that country? What do I want to learn? Am I intrigued by their culture, people, or probably landscape, like history, like all that kind of stuff? Next question, would you like to travel back to the same place again, or priorities will be given to new places? In the age of social media, it's so easy to have this facade of glamorous travel, this exotic places, destination here and there. And then you lose the true sense meaning of traveling itself. Why are you traveling in the first place? Since the first year of my travel, even until to this day, the idea is not to go where, but why I'm traveling to that place. Even if I'm traveling to this very same country, and if I feel like I haven't had enough, I would still go back. Like for example, Vietnam, I've been there for six times and I'm returning soon. Or even Iran, I would like to go back and return and give second chance for better understanding, because sometimes when you're traveling to a certain place, experience of yourself is more about the reflection of your own, what is happening in your inner world instead of what is happening of the outer world. With YouTube, it also allows me to be more creative, to like break my mindset of, okay, I should explore a little bit more further. There's this differences between being a tourist and being a traveler. Understand why you travel, you seek deeper, and it's not only about which destination or how many countries you've been to. This is my 6th year of solo traveling, and to me it's never gonna be about the countries. It's nice to count, okay, I've been to this many countries and that many countries, but to be honest, how much knowledge have I gained from that my own travels? Number 8, how do you manage your travel expenses? To me, in the past, I use my savings, 100% my savings. I didn't really budget. I just knew I had only this much money, small amount of money, and I have to last it all through. But currently, because I am traveling full time and with YouTube, so there's this cash flow as well from YouTube a little bit, Patreon, which is a huge help, and sometimes on and off donation from people from PayPal. It helps me to allocate the money. There are 3 biggest expenses when it comes to traveling. First being transportation, accommodation, and food. The general budget for the entire trip would be there. I will break it down as to how many days I'm staying at that particular place. My daily budget will include transportation, accommodation, food, and a little bit of extra money when it comes to unexpected things. Try my best to always stay in a budget. I eat in a local eateries, I take local bus, I walk a lot. Well, I mean, like, it's not holiday for me. If it's holiday, the approach would be different. But if it's traveling, I would like to have the money to be sustainable as long as possible so that I can keep on traveling. And I don't buy stuff. I don't buy souvenirs. Number 9, what does it mean to be a rule breaker? To revolt against the usual norms and find yourself in a situation on the contrary of what you are expected of. I like this question. I think it's not so much about being a rule breaker, right? It's about how to live a life with your own truth. And to me, the journey of life is not so much probably becoming of anything. Perhaps along the way, I have realized that probably it is how to unbecome everything that we thought it was us, but not really us. We grew up within a family, society, values, and it shapes who we are. But then again, if we question ourselves, is that something that I want to live by, or is that something that I believe in? And in itself, it takes a lot of courage to break through or break out of that mindset, to be able to question yourself and not to follow what was told to you, that you thought it was probably life is just like that, and to have your own values, sense of values, and decide your own, that personal freedom that I mean. It's really rewarding. It takes a lot of courage and years to unravel that layers and skins of you as a person, to unbecoming everything and to become someone that you want to be without sense of obligation to your family or to the society. When you know who you are and being true to yourself, being honest to yourself, it doesn't matter anymore what people say about you because you know who you are. It's easy to conform and to follow what was told to us because that's the majority, and that's easy and that's comfortable. Is that something that you believe in? Are you being true to yourself? And that's the question over the years, that how my lives kept evolving. And I think I just love the journey of that. It's getting too deep. Number 10, how has traveling developed you as a person? I think it comes back to the idea of what I've just said, how gaining such personal freedom along the years made me realize how much traveling has shaped me. Because traveling, and especially slow traveling in itself, is a brutality, because you are forced to always encounter with a lot of unsimilarities, unfamiliarity in your life, that you have to adjust yourself so much in many different situations, and you rely on yourself and others, strangers. Nothing matters other than your essential things, or even like your essential being as a person, and it simplifies the world. What traveling has shaped me the most is to question my own identity. Just to have that courage to start questioning is a lot. Self-thought, thinking for yourself, getting outside of that bubble, and getting to have that independent thinking of owning our own truth and thought. Yeah, it takes a lot of years of becoming true to yourself and allow that experience to shape you as who you are. Next, as you know, Nepal doesn't have YouTube and marketing system, even though you chose Nepal to visit instead of other countries. Why? Honestly, I knew I wanted to travel. I had no plan of how would I go about Nepal series. Yes, I've researched about Nepal, what videos can I make, but YouTube was not the first purpose. Let's go back to the idea that I'm a traveler at heart. So even without YouTube, I would still be traveling farther and trying to get to know a place. With that being said, YouTube now gives a lot more dynamic to how I travel, because now I get to research even further and find interesting things to go deeper about it, right? To share it to the world as well, because I've started to understand how to make videos. What do I want to tell the story about? It's about the storytelling, and that is more rewarding than the money that I get from YouTube, because honestly what I get from making like 7 videos a month with this much of views, it's not a lot. It's still enough. It's just like being really frugal in life. Next question is more about practical question. Could you please talk about your gear? When it comes to gear, I started with Sony A500 back in 2016. In 2017, so I bought Sigma 16mm f1.4, and after that I upgraded to Sony A6500, which allowed me to film 4K. Before traveling to Nepal, I bought this zoom lens, because I think when it comes to prime lens, which means like there's only this fixed focal length, I don't have versatility when it comes to filming, and especially when you're filming traveling. Like in my case, I want to try to film everything as natural as it can be without intruding people, because when the camera is on and people get self-conscious about that, usually they change. And so I bought Sony 18 to 105mm f4. Now I've just sold everything because I just want to travel light, having one camera, having one lens, that's it. I have upgraded to a full frame camera. It's not fully paid yet, but it's okay. It's for YouTube, for a better quality as well. So I've upgraded to A7 III. Now let's get to my Patreon. First being, what is the most important advice you would give to those who never traveled and why they should travel? It is very important reminder for me, myself, in the beginning why I first started traveling. Along the way, I figured that if you don't travel, you would think that the world is just like that, because for example, you have lived in a city or a village in your entire life, and your understanding is very limited to that idea of the world should be like that. By traveling, you are encountered and exposed with such unfamiliarity, with a lot of differences, and it allows you to actually start to be uncomfortable with what you start to believe in, and you start to actually to be more accepting and tolerant and understand that there is no black or white in life. There's always this gray area. What seems to be right for you probably is not right for other culture, and probably what seems to be right for other culture is not probably right for you, and that's okay. Like, that's the thing about being different in the world and makes it a unique world. Next question being, when being hustled, can a young woman avoid the hassles? So I think it's important to understand that traveling alone as a female itself is already a risky thing, and it's important that a woman has to be confident with themselves and to show such confidence and being firm when it comes to communication to new people, and can't really be naive and thinking like romanticizing the idea of everyone is kind, which is true, but also at the same time there are bad people in the world. So being practical, staying aware of your surrounding, being street smart, keeping it flexible and open as well, but also being on guard, showing confidence as well, and trust your inner instinct is one of many ways. Next question would be, I'd be interested in hearing an update on Women Indonesian Soul Travel Challenge, so such as how is the funding going, what is your role in it? So actually, long story short, I met these Nepali travelers, founders in Nepal, and with our similar beliefs and values upon supporting women to solo travel, we thought it would be a great idea to start a challenge in Indonesia. But with that being said, I am the sole organizer, funder. I have received a couple of donations from people who believe in this good cause. So if you are thinking that this is a good cause, and if you are willing to actually support this idea, you're welcome to donate money through the PayPal link I have down below. But also it is important to understand that this is not only just funding or financing women to travel, because in Asia, women are receiving less opportunities. The idea of having to think for ourselves in itself is something that is still very unachievable by a lot of women in Asia, let alone being able to travel for themselves, with themselves, by themselves. So it's just not so much about encouraging a woman. By this challenge, it may be a catalyst for them to actually to move forward and to go beyond what they used to think, what they were capable of doing. I opened the application throughout February, so also informing all of this idea. There are many selections process, from selecting that to Facebook voting to online workshop to interview to also submitting 5 pages of travel detail form where they have to go a lot of research, building itinerary, a lot of hassles. Right now we have selected one winner. She will be traveling in May for 19 days to eastern part of Indonesia. She will also learn about the cultivation, I think coffee in that part, and also learning the basic access to clean water. We're just preparing all of that. She will not use any flights. So in itself, it's a challenge to break the mindset of, can I do that as a woman? Because the idea is to really challenge your current comfort zone and challenging the status quo. I'm very excited for her. The last 2 questions are from Instagram. First being, would you rather see a lot of places or get to know one really well? I think it's clearly the latter, because I stayed in Nepal for 3 months. Instead of traveling to 3 different countries for 3 months, I intended to stay at one place for 3 months so that I get to know that place and that culture a lot deeper. I think when it comes to trying to understand, getting to know a place, and immersing yourself in such culture, it takes a little bit longer time. With long-term traveling, that's how it is, right? You don't really move too much as often, because if you move too much, you don't really get to understand. I always look for deeper understanding rather than just ticking off bucket list where I've been, where I go, and stuff like that. The last question being about the challenges I've faced over the years and as an Asian solo woman traveler. Because let's be honest, right? In the industry of this social media of traveling, all of this are mostly represented by white Western women or men, young, so there's not enough representation of Asian women of color, and then the challenges that we have to go through, because it's not the same. Like, first being, if you are coming from Asian, like the passport itself, right? It's not like we can go to a particular country just like that. And second, the currency being much lower in terms of value with any other USD, euro. The challenges coming from the misconception of what it is when it comes to traveling as an Asian woman solo traveler. So for example, if a video or a place is represented such as this exotic destination by a Western traveler, there is nothing wrong with that, but it's not so much of a best representation. But also sometimes you don't get the same privilege of being treated the same way just because you're not white. Let's be honest, there's this still, even in Indonesia and in many other Asian countries, there's still this perception over like past colonial, where being white is perceived to be higher status in comparison to darker skin color or women of color. It's not like I'm expecting to be treated like a princess. No, that's not. But it's not enough representation of what it is actually when it comes to traveling as an Asian woman. And it's not like really Asian women are celebrated or even encouraged to explore independently like our other foreign travelers. The idea of it's possible to travel, even though it's probably not our culture in Asia, in Asian societies, as if like, why are you doing this why are you traveling? It's so selfish. I think the challenges is more about the mindset, the society, the values. Technical challenges would be common, like getting hustled here and there. The core understanding of traveling as an Asian woman is that first, having the courage and having such bravery to actually say, look, I'm going to do this for myself, even though your parents are not accepting to this idea, or probably society thinking, why are you doing this? Aren't you supposed to get married? Are you supposed to get jobs and stuff like that? I think that's more about the challenges, because it's the society value that is so ingrained and stopping you from really going outside of your comfort zone. The idea when it comes to traveling, and why it's not the same as what is told on social media, because usually it's not the best representation of your own. I haven't seen a lot of Asian women solo traveling alone throughout my years of travel. I don't think a lot of people understand how much that people from Asia have to go through just to be able to travel. I think this is a very long video. I'm so sorry. I truly hope you learned something from this video. Write down your comment what you like about this video, what you learn, what you think. I like reading those comments, even though sometimes I'm not able to respond to each one and every of you. My hard drive is currently broken. I won't be able to continue my Nepal series, but a new series is coming soon and I'm pretty much excited about it. And yeah, hope to see you again in my next video. Bye!